right? So it will print a little bit, and it will be more clear. But so what you see is you put A as 1, right?
Okay.
But it is A as 9, B as 9, and B as 1. So the values have been switched. How can they be switched? Because you use a temporary variable T, right? You first assign A into T. So T has a value of A now, right? Then you took, now A has a copy, right? T has the same value. So you put B into A. So B value went to A, right?
Okay.
And then from a temporary you put into B. But it has a value of A, right? Now it has a value of B. And here the A has a value. So it is switched. So it is just to practice a little bit, right? And then also to print it properly. No, yeah, definitely. And this video will be up and stuff. So yeah. So okay, that was a good practice, right? We'll see. We'll have to use this practice. One of the things is integer expression. I'll try to go through it because we have to cover a very basic but very important topic, which is conditional statements. And again, conditional statements are just like variables, a very big topic, but very basic topic. Just like variables are very basic, but cover a lot. So that are the conditional statements, and I don't want to delay too much for that because we are already at 9 p.m. right? So well, this is part of the homework. So you'll have to do some of those expressions. You'll have to write programs for it. What happens is if you have, and we already talked about it, if you have an expression A multiplied by B multiplied by C multiplied by D or plus D or something, then which one will be executed first? So it is called precedence rules. The precedence rules are for quite a few things. We'll see. But precedence means which will take precedence. So if I have an expression which is big, which one will be done first, and then the next, and then the next. So this is a precedence. There's something called unary. We will talk about it. Then there is multiply, divide, and percent is what's the right term? I'll tell you.
Ampersand.
Yeah, it's ampersand, but there's another term, and it gives you the remainder. So ampersand will give you the remainder, but there's another term that's kind of like. And then plus. So we've already done that, and now we know that this is a precedence. First a unary will be done, then multiplication, division or ampersand, then plus or minuses. So if you make a big expression, then this is how. But you don't want to do that, right? You want your own way. You want the expression to be evaluated your own way. So you use brackets. So let me just say it again. Say you have int A, B, C, D with values, and you have x is equal to A plus B into C divided by D minus D and stuff, right? Number one, it's difficult. Even if you know the precedence rules, this is not the right way of doing it. So what you should do is A plus B bracket, then multiply by D, say for example, and another bracket, then minus D, say another bracket, divided by A, or even put another bracket and make it the whole bracket. Java does not care. We will not do an example right now, but this is something that you can do. And then there are some examples, A plus B, how you would make it exactly how you want it to be. But integer expressions are very important once you start doing some of the practices. So for sure do the homework, and then if there's a need, we can talk about it a little bit more. Now, there is another thing that you'll have to spend a little bit of time on your own and try to do it, which is very important. So, consider this example. Uh-oh. Right. So everybody write another program or add to another program or, okay, so one of the other things, if you want to do, just a sec. Before I do anything, let me show you something else. Because I know that some people are using the same programs and don't want to, for the time being, copy or paste or save something. There is something which is called comments. Did not comment. Something which is called comments. So you can, within the code, you can write something that the compiler will ignore. So it's called comment. It can have anything, but the compiler would ignore. There are two types of comments. One type of comment is called single line comment. So if I write, hi, this is just a comment test, and I run it, and then this had an error, but I run it, this time it did not have an error. Z, there is no
line
Z.
11.
Yeah. You see, so many. So, but it did not say anything about hi, why there is a hi, why this is not just a comment. But let me remove these two slashes, and you can see that the color also changed in execute, and it says, I don't know what is this statement. Like error, not a statement. Hi, this is just a comment test, right? So it is, if you just want to write something, it becomes a comment if you just put two slashes behind. Say for example, I don't want to print this one. I comment this out too. And then you can see I'm just printing 2 lines, not 3 lines. I say, okay, fine, I'll print just these 2 lines. And it will print those 3 lines, those 2 lines, and stuff like that. Or even take this out. So anything you take, you put 2 slashes, it will become comment. Even if it's a definition, like variable definition, if I took this out, I took this out, put this back, I put this back, and I say, I'm putting this as a comment. It will complain because now the variable is not defined, right? So that is one type of comment. This is called single line comment. There's another comment which is called multi-line comment, which is like this. It starts like this and it ends like this. And in between I can have anything, or I can put a code in between this, and it will be not seen by the compiler. The compiler would not even know that there is such a comment, such a thing, right? So if you have written the previous program, you can put it in multi-line comment, a slash and a star. Any place after that it will see another slash and star the other way around. It will take it as the end of the comment. But a double slash is a comment from that point to the end of line. For example, I can give a comment here and say this is X defined, and this is fine. Or I can give it a multi-line comment. This is X used, and that is fine too. You know, so comments, single line comments and multi-line comments can be used for you to use your program in different ways. So let's go back to, so what we are doing is we are combining assignment operators. I will just do one simple example and then I will leave it for you guys to do it. So what I want to do is, yes sir.
So I was just going to ask, do you use comments, if you were writing like a really long program, do you use comments to kind of label the different parts of the things you go back to?
Definitely, yeah. Comments are used a lot. I mean, a lot of companies, some of the companies, they even have tools that will look that you have enough comments in it or not. And some companies don't care. But there are a lot of things about comments. And of course, it means comments itself is a big discussion. Some people say comments are useless. Some people say, yes, it is not useless. But some comments, everybody uses. Some comments. Because you want to define something, you want to tell people something, you want to tell other readers something. So they're always, you want to give a mental note to yourself in the code and all that. So because once you have a lot of files in the code, then to have another document that defines some part of it, there's how you do that. I mean, it's not that simple, right? While I'm reading a code and then reading another document to see how this is, what logic is this, is not that simple. So comment in the code are very important, but how much you do it and how you do it is always a big topic. So what I want to do is the value of y. I already have a value of y, so I will define an int y is equal to 0, for example, just in case that I want to define 0. And what I want to do is I want to add some value to y. How should I write it? I want to add some value to y. Y plus, okay, y equals.
And the value of the calculation?
What is the calculation? Tell me.
5 times 1?
No, add some value. Like I want to add 5 to y. What should I write?
Oh, 5 equals y. No, y equals 5.
No, but that will put 5 into y. I want to add 5, so let's put it this way. 1.
Okay.
Now you'll say y is equal to 6. No, I want to add something because y is variable. It is currently 1 plus y or 5 plus y. 5 plus y, right? That's a good answer, right? And we can execute it.
A variable name?
Y. So usually, so this is good, right? It's a good answer. Usually what we do is we first write variable name and then write the value or the fixed part. But it's fine. The way that you gave it fine also. So what we did is y is equal to y plus 5, right? Now what if I wanted to multiply y by 5? Star 5, right? And I do that and I have still 5. It's 1, right. Sorry. Let me make it 5 so that it becomes a 4, so that it becomes a little bit more interesting. Kind of not confused.
So why you have y equals y plus 5?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah.
So what happens is, whatever the value of expression on the right side, does not change any variable on that are given on the right side. The only change in this, such an expression, would be on the left side. So, it's a good question. So, say, for example, I have A is equal to B plus C plus D plus E, right? I had 5 variables, and then I use all of them, and then I did this, only A's value would change at the end. After this one, at this point, only A value would be changed, because that's where assignment is. B will be used, C will be used, D will be used, E will be used to calculate this, but their values will not change. The values will remain the same, right? So, in this case, I want to use Y and still use the value and put the value, the return value of using the Y in Y. We do it like this. But, just a second. What value of Y will be used? Before or after? Of course before. Only before. So, whatever the value of Y would be here, a line before, that is the value of Y that will be used on the right hand side. But then after this expression evaluated, assignment done, then the value of Y is now 20, right? So it's maybe for a mental kind of understanding, it's a little bit tough, because the Y on the right side is 4. The Y of the left side is 20. But from the expression and how the computer works, it is not. Because on the right side is use the value, left side is assign. All right, question.
Would it be safe to say that you can read it from right to left?
Right to left?
Yeah.
Not really. No, you have to read it. You mean it's...
Or calculate it from right to left?
No. Calculated based on precedence.
Okay.
Calculated based on precedence, assigned right to left. Right. And the only left side is assigned, not the right side is assigned. Right? So we have this, right? We multiplied Y, we added to Y. There is a little bit an easier way of, or different way of doing it. So I have a Y and I want to add something to Y, say 5. So I can do Y plus is equal to 5. And I execute it, and it will give me 9. 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. It's a short way of doing it. Or instead of plus, I can do multiply. And it will do 20. And then more of that you can see. Similarly, what if I want to add 1 to Y? So what I'll do? Y equal to Y plus 1, right? Simple.
So, Abdul-Bari, so if I can just make sure I'm with you. So
Okay.
the Y on the left-hand side is what's going to replace the Y in the system out print line.
Yes. No. So you have to see from the life cycle of a variable, right? What happens is Y was given a value 4, right? Okay, this line 4 is done. Line 5, nothing. You come to line 6. Line 6 will be assigned right to left, just like he said. First, the right will be evaluated, then it will be assigned to the left. So it's not really, at this point, it's a 2-step. It's one line, it's a 2-step. First you evaluate the right side using the current values. And then once you have a value in it of total value, then you assign it on the left side. So it's not a 1-step, it's kind of 2-step. Alright, so we say Y is equal to Y plus 1, we execute, and then it say 4 plus 1, 5. Easy, right? But if we find out that Y is equal to Y plus 1 is a very, very common use thing. to increment by 1 is a very common thing. So they created an operator. It's something called operator. It's called unitary operator. Unitary means single operator, which is y plus plus. So if I do y is equal to 4 and then I do y plus plus, I see y is equal to 5. If I do another y plus plus, I see it did 5 is equal to 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and the value is 6, right? So it's called unitary operator. It's something that adds 1 to an integer. You cannot do that to float. You cannot do that to string. You cannot do it to char. You can in some ways, but after changing it to an integer. But you can only do it to integer. But it is used so much that you will write small programs, you'll have to use it. So that's why it is very important. Just like plus plus, you have minus minus also. So if I do a minus minus and a plus plus, the value should remain the same, right? The value will remain the same. So I first did y minus minus and then y plus plus, 3, then 4, or something like that, right? You can, or I say, okay, don't do my plus plus. I commented that out, ran it again, and here you go. It did not run y plus plus, it's just y equal to 4, y minus minus, and stuff. Maybe I'm going a little bit fast, but that's what I wanted to do, just because I want to make sure that we cover a little bit today. And then some of those things you'll have to start using a lot more. So do a lot of mathematical expressions, write small programs, whatever you want to write. Some mathematical stuff, very basic, just print after and after and after. But of course some mathematics, multiply, divide, a little bit of plus plus plus, divide, minus, multiply, and stuff like that. So combined assignment operator, you will see increment and decrement. So the unitary plus plus or unitary minus minus is also called increment operator or decrement operator, right? So you can use increment, decrement. There is a good so we start conditional statements, and we don't have much time. So, and I'll try to end at the right time, not late, so that we don't feel a little bit of burden or anything. So what happens is that so far we wrote a program that runs line after line after line after line. One line can have few things, right? Like print line, I told you it does this and it does this. Within print line, you can have some expression that it will evaluate, and the result it will print and stuff like that. But still, everything was going line by line by line, which is fine, but it is not very interesting, and it does not give us a lot of flexibility. I mean, how can you write a very interesting program that goes line by line? And then what if you have to do some decisions? Where do you do decisions? How do you do decisions? So for decision's sake, we have something called conditional statements. So there are specific statements that allows us to check a condition. So specific statements that allows us to check a condition and execute certain part of the code depending the condition is true or false. So one of the things, but there are two types of conditional statements. So I'll not go too much into detail of that. There are two types of conditional statements. One is if and else. And it's usually you have a condition where you want to do something if the condition is met, and you want to do something else if the condition does not meet. Right? So it's very binary. It's used like everywhere in the code. Right? So it's very simple. It's very binary. And that's why I said there are two types of expressions. One is mathematical expression and one is logical expression. This is where we will need to do some logical expressions, and we will learn more about logical expression. Logical expressions, mathematical expressions are what? When they are evaluated, they give us a result. The result could be any mathematical output, an integer or a decimal, right? A logical expression, when it's evaluated, at the end it gives us true or false. So that's kind of simple, right? Mathematical expression or logical expression. And logical expression we use in conditional statements all the time. So there is, again, coming back, there are two types of conditional statements, and we'll try to at least use one today, and one I am giving it for homework, but we'll see if it's easier for you to do homework. Otherwise, of course, we will talk about it in the next lecture, because it's very important, it's very critical. But the more important is if and else. And so again, it's very simple. You're writing a code, at some point you say, is A equal 10? Right? Whether A, which is an integer, is 10 is a logical question, right? You can say A, you can just check. A is equal to 10? Yes. Then you go to if and start executing the if part. If A is not equal 10, then you start executing else part. But what do you do with the if part? You skip it. But what if you went to if part, and what you do with the else part? You skip it. How you do it? We'll see. There are some, of course, this is a little bit simplification, but there are some other ways that are a little bit more interesting in how you do it, but it's in a very basic way, it is very simple, right? So if, say for example, if we are having a team for kids and we have a cutoff of 16 age, and we say, is Abdul-Bari less than 16? We say, no. So we go to else part, right? Something like that. It's very simple kind of thing, but the interesting part is how we use it. That's one. And then how we evaluate the expression, what are the different ways that we can do expressions, and we'll do quite a few things of it, but not today, but we'll see. So on a very high level, general, it's kind of simple, right? So, and that's where we want to be for the time being, not to worry too much about it. So what is the syntax? Syntax is like this. If, and then within the bracket, you put a condition. And you have a then statement. Then means you don't have a then statement. Then means the if statement. What if the condition is true? So after if, you put code for the true condition. Then you put an else. And then after else, you put code for the else condition, right? So what we do, we have if condition true, you execute this statement, else you execute this statement. So what happens if the condition is true? Would we run then statement or else statement? Musa, condition is true. Which statement we will run?
Then statement.
Then statement. What will do with else statement? It will skip it. So it will go after that. The code will start running after that, but it will not run this code. It will be like it's not there, right? But if the condition is false, Musa, what it will do? Would it run then statement? It will not run then statement. Alright. It will run else statement. Alright. So that was kind of a simple thing, right? So we will write such a code. Everybody. JDoodle. We create two variables. We create two variables, int A, int B, and then we just have, so what we'll do is, yeah, we don't have a lot of time. But we'll try to see
So we
if we
assign
can.
assignment to each letter, a value.
Yeah. So just like before, define two variables and assign values to the two variables. And then write this code.